And it is time, the time you've all been waiting for, it is time to get cooking our first meal. So hopefully you had a chance to go shopping today. I went shopping today and I bought all the things from the list that I needed. I already had some chicken, so I didn't buy the ground chicken, but I bought everything else today and they were out of broccoli. So I didn't get broccoli. I'm going to try again tomorrow for the broccoli. I don't know what's happening in your grocery stores, but I was able to get everything else. And if you're tuning in right now, do me a favor, give me hashtag #1, let me know where you're listening from. If you listen to this later, hashtag 2, let me know where you're listening from. But most importantly, give me a hashtag 1000 if you're cooking with me. Super excited. Yeah, hashtag 1000. So I want to show you some general principles with cooking to start with, and then we're going to get started. Before we do any of that, we're going to preheat our oven, because that's something that we need to do, because we're going to start by cooking our meatballs, or at least getting the meatballs ready. So preheating the oven is important, because when I started cooking, I didn't know that you can't just stick things in the oven. You have to take 10 minutes to do it. So we're going to preheat the oven. So preheat your oven right now with me to 375. We're going to bake 375, and if you just wait, depending on how your oven works, we're going to get a preheat button. So it is now preheating. Typically this will take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. But a couple things about your setup. First of all, I have a nice cutting board here. I have one of these. This is a scraper. So when you're scraping food off and move it, this is an amazing tool. It's a lifesaver. I believe these are on our website. They're like $12. They're amazing. You'll love it. And that I always put right here. Okay, so it's always stored, ready to go. I have my cutting board here, and then I have a small wet rag. It's for wiping down my cutting board, wiping down my knives, and then a small dry rag, and that's for drying my cutting board and drying off everything after I wipe it with the wet one. You're going to find that keeping your kitchen organized as you're going is really, really helpful. And then I wear an apron. And then, and by the way, if you have questions while we're going throughout this, Paulina is here with me.
Hi, guys.
Why don't you come around here so everybody can see the beautiful Paulina? She's here with me. So she will be assisting, and if you have questions, she will read your questions and let me know what they are. Okay, so if you have questions, feel free to tune in.
I am so excited. Let's do this.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be starting. We preheat our oven. We have to also make sure that we don't mix the meat on the same cutting board. Okay, so that's important that we don't put meat over here and then start cutting vegetables. These are all the different things that you need. We've got our mushrooms, our onions, our garlic. We've got our fennel, our crushed red pepper, our onion powder, our fire roasted tomatoes, our tomato paste, Italian seasoning, paprika, garlic, our Hawaiian pink salt, nutritional yeast, fresh ground pepper, liquid aminos, our already chopped cilantro. This is our fresh rosemary. I think it said garlic. Our zucchini, they didn't have any medium. These are tiny zucchinis. And so anyway, so we'll be using the small zucchinis today. And then they only had the Roma tomatoes, which since we're doing Italian isn't bad, but this is the Roma tomatoes. We have those. And then I went ahead and got some baby tomato on the vines just to add some extra pop of flavor there. Got my knives set up, so we're all ready to get started. We're going to start by cooking our meatballs and get those in the oven. And then we're going to transition into our spaghetti sauce. So this will be exciting. So to start with, we're going to be putting in our meatloaves, we're going to be putting garlic in our meatloaves, and we're going to be putting onion. So starting with our onion, okay, there's also a method to how you want to cut things. If you're doing garlic, garlic is super sticky. So if you have to cut garlic, you don't want to start with that on your cutting board. It's a little bit easier to start with something like onion. We're also going to put a little bit of diced mushrooms in our meatballs as well, just to give them a little bit more volume, because we're not doing breadcrumbs or anything like that. We're making these really, really, really healthy, okay? So let's start with an onion. So get out your onion, whatever type of onion you have, and I'm going to show you how to properly dice an onion, and we only need half of it, because I'm only doing 4 ounces of the meat, okay? This is a pound here, so I'm only going to do 1/4 of it for our meatballs, all right? And that's going to easily feed both Paulina and myself with leftovers. If you are on the lose it stage of the program, you can eat all 4 ounces yourself, get another 4 ounces for somebody else, but for us, we're not huge meat eaters. So start by cutting the onion in half like so. So you have 2 equal halves. You don't do anything else yet. Then you're going to take, and don't cut off, I call this the hair end.
Get a little closer.
A little closer, okay. I call this the hair end. We're going to leave the hair end intact, but we're going to cut off this end, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and cut off this end of the onion. Okay, and then it makes it super easy now to peel the onion. Okay, so I can easily peel the onion, and you take off however many layers until you get to the good part of the onion. So I'm going to take off one layer of the onion here, throw it in my little trash here. Okay, and so this is what your onion should look like, okay, when you're all done. This is what your onion should look like. And then the other thing is, too, I'm not going to use this half right now, so I'm going to set this half over here out of the way. All of this the little shavings that I have right now, I want to get rid of those before I cut my onion, okay? So I have all these little shavings here, so I'm going to clean off with my wet rag, I'm going to clean off those shavings and throw those away. Okay, and then I'm going to cut my onion. Now, to start with our dicing of our onion, you're going to use a technique to hold your onion in place like this, okay? This is really important. Like, once you get good at this is a really fast process, but you don't want to hold your onion like this or like this, okay? Because you're going to be making horizontal cuts. Okay, so if you think about it, if you're holding your onion like this, it's easy to slip through and cut yourself. It's also easy to slip through and cut yourself if you're doing it like this. Okay, so we're going to do it like this. We're going to make vertical cuts on our onion like this, and we're not going to go all the way through. So we're going to stop right before, and this part here is what keeps everything intact. Okay, and this is also really great because you don't tend to cry when you cut your onion like this. Okay. And do feel free to be interacting while we're doing this. Paulina is reading everything, and so feel free to interact, say hi.
I will let you know that I am like the worst when it comes to this onions. Like, I cry so much. You can be cutting an onion, and in the next room over, I will tear up. And when he does it this way, I don't. Yeah,
because we're not releasing the juices yet. Okay, so we've done several horizontal cuts. Now I'm going to turn the onion so the tassel end is away from me, and then I'm going to use a claw grip, which is a grip you need to familiarize yourself with. It's where you have your pinky and thumb in the back, and you're, rather than being like this with cutting, which you can see the potential problem, you're like this with cutting. So it's almost like your knuckle tells you where your knife is. And also, when you hold your knife, you want to hold your knife where where it connects right here. Okay, that's where you want to hold your knife. All right, and do invest in a good knife. You can tell, like, a good knife is one solid piece of steel running all the way through with an attached handle, as opposed to the ceramic knives. You also want to use steel. You can't actually sharpen ceramic. So once it's dull,
Shamala said, try a food processor.
You could do a food processor, but you know what? It's not nearly as much fun, and you don't get to use the colorful knife then. But yes, a food processor will make this a lot faster. All right, so I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to make vertical cuts like this. And again, I'm not cutting all the way through, so the onion is staying mostly intact. Okay.
Donna says hello.
Hey, hey.
Donna Jonas.
Hi, Donna. It's nice to have you here. And now I turn the onion like this, same claw grip, and I just cut, and now I have a diced onion just like that. Okay? And then you throw away the end. And then the other thing too is when you have a nice knife, the tendency is to do this. We scrape it all together. Well, that dulls your blade really fast. And that's where this scraper comes in, because now I can easily scrape up the onions and put them wherever I want them to go. Okay, so we have our onions here, and I'm going to stick those in here for right now. Get those out of the way.
Yeah. Having technical difficulties?
Technical difficulties? Are you getting a little dizzy over there, everybody?
My apologies.
Okay, so
all right. That. Jane says hi to you and I.
So nice to have you tuning in. It's going to be a ton of fun. All right, next we're going to go ahead and do some garlic. So when you have your garlic, and again, right now I'm going to just go ahead and do a quick wipe down. Our oven is preheated and ready to go. And then to break this apart, I'm going to take my big old knife and just kind of set it on top. Remove this. Okay? And I'm just going to hit it. It just breaks it apart. I'm only going to, at this point in time, I'm only going to use one, but I'm going to be using another clove or two for my sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and prep all the garlic. So I have the garlic here. There's one clove. Here's 2 cloves. And here's 3 cloves. All right, there we go. And then get rid of some of this trash here. All right. Okay, and now this
Lynette is saying she learned a lot already.
All right, Lynette. Makes me really happy. This is another really cool tool that I find indispensable, almost as important as this tool in the kitchen. This is a garlic peeler. If you've ever had the frustration of trying to peel garlic, this is a lifesaver. So you take the garlic when it gets to this, because it still has, you know, all of this stuff on it, and you put it in here, just like that. And then all you have to do is roll it together, just like that. And then when it falls out, amazing, it's done. Isn't that the most amazing way to peel garlic? All right, so these guys are like $4. You can get them on our website. They're super awesome. You just do that, and you're done. Okay, so we're going to do that to these. We're going to be mincing garlic. Now the difference between mincing and chopping is really size. So when you chop, you have uniform pieces like the size of our onion. When you mince, you make it pretty much as small as possible. Oh, this one needs a little bit more. There we go. All right, and now we're going to clean this up, and then we're going to mince. And again, we want to get rid of all of this stuff before we move on to the next thing. So using my trash, throw this away. And by the way, right now would be a perfect opportunity if you're a coffee drinker to grab a nice cup of coffee and have that going. Because I always like to have something to drink while I am eating, or prepping my meal, I should say. And that's a subtle hint for Paulina behind you to be getting coffee.
Copy that.
All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and switch to my smaller knife, and then I'll just wipe off this with the wet and then with the dry, so it's all set and ready to go for my next thing. I'm going to take a little bit smaller knife, and I'm going to mince all these garlic, okay? Again, I use the same grip as I'm starting. It's that claw grip so I don't cut myself. And I'm just going to start by slicing it up.
So we have people asking, will you give a recipe? Not sure I will get all the ingredients written down. Things.
Yes,
Kristen
after we're done, we will post the recipe. And here's why I'm not posting the recipe. I don't know exactly what the recipe is. Okay, so if you were to say how much salt are you going to use and how much pepper and how much of this stuff, I don't know. So we're going to figure that out right now, because the way I cook, I used to follow recipes exactly until I figured it out, but then I just developed the ability to take and combine different elements to be able to make it taste the way I want it to taste. But today, as we're going to measure it, and then when the video is done, the entire recipe with ingredients and instructions and times and everything is going to be posted in this feed. So you'll be able to have that.
Right, but the goal is for you guys to buy all the ingredients, because Davis did put out what to buy.
Yep.
And then just make it while he's making. So
right.
Make it together.
And so for the contest, okay, for the contest, I'm going to go over the contest rules at the end. You need to, part of the scoring process is going to be cooking the meals. Now, if you don't cook them with me, that's okay, as long as you cook them. Okay, so for instance, if you're a day behind with the meals, that's fine. If you want to catch up and do 3 in one day, you can, okay? But the key is that you're making all of these different things with me, because one of the things you're going to find out is that you have the ability to make amazing tasting food. I want you, if you're cooking with me right now, I want you to say with me, I have the ability to make amazing tasting food. Because when we're done here and you sit down and you eat the food that you've prepared, you're going to be like, wow, this is even better than a restaurant. Or this is even better than takeout in a styrofoam container right now. Okay? So anyway, so I'm just going to
Christine is saying thank you. I'm making it with you.
Yeah, Christine.
And then Talk on Buddy, you cook like me, which I'm sure is like a lot of us.
Yep.
Holly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, if you're tuning in, make sure you say hi. Paulina's in the back there. She's making some coffee and is also making sure that we stay up on everybody's comments and who all is participating with us. And if you have questions about anything, you can ask those questions while we are doing this. All right, so this is about
And you can actually share this post by starting a watch party.
Oh, start a watch party. Oh, well, try that if you have. Okay, so there is our, and if you can see the difference, here is chopping size, and here is mincing size, just so you can see that. Okay, you can see the difference there. So you could technically have minced onion, but it tends to get a little bit liquidy when you have minced onion. Okay.
We might have disconnected for a second, but we're back on.
Oh, okay. Are we disconnected for a second?
Bonnie is cooking along. She's not sure she has all the ingredients.
Okay, well, do the best you can, and that's what's important. There's a lot, you may not even be able to find all the ingredients right now, so the point is to do the best you can. So appreciate you putting the effort out. What I like to do is I find, depending on the type of onion and depending on the garlic, it has a little bite to it. So what I like to do to reduce the bite is I like to caramelize it. Now, if you're on our program and you're losing weight, you know you can't use oil. So that's where the Braggs Liquid Amino comes in. So I'm going to use a copper pan. It's less sticky, and I have a whole copper pan set. And I'm going to put a little splash of the Braggs Liquid Aminos. That's going to help it. I'm going to then caramelize the onions, okay, and the garlic. And again, this is where the scraper is really handy, because you can see how well it gets all that stuff up. And then I'm also going to chop up just a few mushrooms, and that's also going to go in this for the caramelizing. And there's not any specific size here. I'm just looking to make them a little bit smaller.
Kathleen is cooking along.
All right.
Holly was saying rock on, not talk on, but I was multitasking, so like my brain wouldn't think to say.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to put all these in here, and we're just going to not even fully caramelize them because they're going to get cooked a little bit more. So I'm going to put them here on the stove. I'm going to put it on high heat just to get it going a little bit, and then we'll mix it up. Then we're going to make our meatballs, stick our meatballs in the oven. And while that is browning up, I'm going to take another, I'm just going to use the thing I used for my onions here. We're going to mix together, because the point of the meatballs is to make them taste Italian. Okay, so the way we make them taste like an Italian sausage, okay? So the way we make something taste like that is through the way we season it, and hopefully you have a nice sous chef that prepares you coffee. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit of sizzle here, so I'm going to mix this in a little bit, and then I'm going to turn down the heat to low. So now my pan's nice and hot. Okay. And the onions are going to provide some of the water as well, so just a little splash of that Braggs will help. And then the onions water is going to also then help this caramelize a little bit faster.
Jane is asking, how do you keep track of calories for these recipes?
Jane would ask that question, wouldn't you, Jane? At the end, what I do is I add up everything and then kind of divide it into how many. So for instance, this is half of a yellow onion. This whole thing of mushrooms is, I think it was 12 ounces of mushrooms. You don't count any of the seasonings. I've got the small zucchini, I've got the tomatoes, so I guesstimate. And the nice thing is, I know you like exact, but the nice thing is when you're cooking like this, it's okay to ballpark it, as long as you know you're getting enough of the calories in. Okay, so on our program, you got to make sure you get enough food, because that's one of the big complaints, of course, is people eating enough on the lose it stage, because you're just not hungry, as I know a lot of you have experienced. Okay, so if you look here, we've got a nice glaze color. That's all I want to do. Okay, so you can see the color, how the color's changed. You can see how the mushrooms have shrunk. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat now. I'm just going to let this sit and just give it a little stir, because I don't want it to burn. Really, really, really don't want it to burn, so just give it a little stir and then let that sit. Okay, and then we're going to make a seasoning to taste like Italian seasoning. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our rosemary, and with our fresh rosemary, which if you haven't had fresh rosemary before, Oh, so good. You got to try it, okay? So when we're dealing with rosemary, we're going to pull the leaves off, and we're going to not use the stalk, okay? So I'm going to not use this, but I'm going to use this. And it's pretty easy to do if you hold it and you kind of go against the grain of the, you can see how it grows upwards. So if you hold here and you scrape backwards, okay, you can kind of strip it down pretty well. All right. So we're going to strip these down. There we go. And the last one. Oh, look at that. That last one was really easy. Okay, and then I'm going to chop this, and I'm going to get it into a really, 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 really small, so it's seasoning size. And this is where, technique-wise, this is where putting your finger on top of the knife like this, your fingers on top, and then just doing this, okay?
Whoop.
And you just go in all different directions because we want to get this as small as possible. Also, as far as just a word about cutting boards, best cutting boards are bamboo for multiple reasons. This is a particle bamboo cutting board. The plastic ones dull your knife really, really fast. The issue with the wood ones is you have to be really careful with them. You have to kind of to baby the things. You have to literally rub them down with oil, like olive oil, to keep them hydrated. And when you wash them, you've got to treat them with the oil again, and you kind of have to do a sealing process. So I'm a big fan of these particle board bamboo. This one specifically has these nice rubber stoppers on it, and it's a very robust cutting board. I've had this set of cutting boards for several years, and they've worked really well for me. So really common sausage recipes call for rosemary. So you can see here, now we're done with the rosemary. You can see about the size that we cut it down to. And then just take a minute and smell the rosemary. It's not like smelling the roses, smelling the rosemary, but it's still really good, okay? Then I'm going to put that in my, and you saw about how much rosemary I used, okay? So we're going to stick that in there. And then I have fennel, okay? So this is about how much rosemary, so I guess let's measure this out for all of you people who want measurements. So if I was measuring this out, this would be 1 tablespoon.
Oh, this is where I have to write
This
it
is
down.
where Paulina has to write something down. All right, and then
What am I writing down?
you're writing down how much, oh, this is going to be tough. Put this in here. How much rosemary we're using for our meatballs.
How much is that?
Well, I'm going to find out here in a moment. So it is about 1.5 teaspoons of rosemary. Okay. All right, so everybody got that? 1.5 teaspoons of rosemary?
1.5.
And then I'm going to take my fennel, okay? And if when you're using a seasoning, I always recommend that you smell it first, because then you kind of get an idea. How many of you have heard of fennel? If you've heard of fennel, give me a hashtag fennel. Or if you've used fennel, give me a hashtag fennel. And if it's brand new, just give me a hashtag no clue. Okay? It's not a super common seasoning, but when you smell it, you'll smell why it would be used to make something taste like sausage. It kind of has a sausage smell to it. So I'm going to start with a teaspoon of this. Again, I never measure, so this is interesting. Let's start with a teaspoon of this. And it's funny, if I'm following somebody else's recipe, I normally will put what they put in it, and then I'll try it myself, and then I'll be like, oh, wait, no, it needs more of this. And Paulina gives me a hard time because I just think everything needs more nutritional yeast. So I'm going to start with a teaspoon of that. So we can see what that looks like here.
Jillian's fennel.
All right, we got Jillian
Yes.
has used fennel. All right, great job, Jillian.
Mary, Stacy, people are commenting fennel.
All right, good. Mary and Stacy both are fennel users.
Lenore? How about pronouncing your name?
Lenore Erickson, right?
Yeah.
Lenore is with us. All right. Lenore has used fennel as well. And then I'm going to do a teaspoon. We're going to start with a teaspoon of all these and see what happens. I'm going to do a teaspoon of onion powder. Okay, and then since we're doing Italian meatballs, I have an Italian seasonings. Okay, so this is just an Italian seasoning blend. It's basil and thyme and probably oregano, but it's better and easier just to buy the blend. And I'm going to try a teaspoon of that. So we have a teaspoon and a half of rosemary. We have a teaspoon of fennel. We have a teaspoon of onion powder. And we have a teaspoon of Italian seasonings. Okay, and then we have let's try a half a teaspoon of the garlic, because we don't want to overdo the garlic. So I'm going to do a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. This is garlic powder, not garlic salt. Not a big fan of garlic salt, but I like garlic powder here. There we go. Okay, I have a teaspoon of garlic powder. So here's this. This is what this looks like. And then I'm just going to mix this all together here. And then I'm also going to add in some nutritional yeast. Okay? And I'm going to add in a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Okay? So a whole tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Okay? And then I'm going to add in a little bit of fresh pepper. Now, since I'm doing fresh ground pepper, I'm just going to kind of do some of that. Okay, about that much pepper. And then salt, pink salt. So I have my little pincher for pink salt, and let's do a 1/4 of a teaspoon of the Hawaiian pink salt. So that's this stuff right here. This is really good stuff. That's our Hawaiian pink salt. 90 different trace minerals in it. It helps you with your hydration, helps you be healthy. So we're going to do 1/4 of a teaspoon of our pink salt. Okay, now we're going to mix this all together. Can you hand me a fork? A little easier to mix with a fork. And the magic hand handed me a fork. Alright, so this is what our seasoning looks like now. Okay, and so here's...
Get a little closer.
A little closer? Okay, here's what our seasoning looks like. Now here's the test. This right now is supposed to taste like sausage. So take a pinch and try it. Oh, it tastes just like sausage.
Oh, I want to try.
Come here, go try. Paulina's going to try, so you know I'm just not BSing here.
I definitely think I need to look closer to being shot.
Yeah.
Mmm.
Does it taste just like sausage?
It tastes really good.
All right, so those measurements, everybody, I just want to let you know we got it. So use those measurements. If anything, I think it'll be okay with there may be I would cut down just a little bit on the rosemary.
Yeah, I think I would too.
So I would do, what did we do, a teaspoon and a half fresh rosemary?
Yes.
So I would just do a teaspoon of the fresh rosemary. But when we mix it all together, it's going to be fine. But it's I'm getting a little too much rosemary. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we want to make sure that we move things away because we're going to be dealing with our meat, so we don't want to cross-contaminate. So I'm going to go ahead and use this cutting board for meat, and then I'm going to get rid of it, okay? When I say get rid of it, I'm going to put it in the kitchen sink. I'm not going to literally get rid of it. There's people like, oh, I'll take it. How many of you have a bamboo cutting board? Give me a hashtag bamboo for all my bamboo cutting board users out there. All right, let's see if I can get all this stuff back together. All right, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do here, since I'm only using a 1/4 of this, I'm going to go ahead and cut this into 4ths. So again, if you're on stage 2 of the VitaLife program, this is 4 meals. By the way, it cost me $75 for all of this food, and me personally, this could be 20 meals.
Which food cost you $70?
All the food for the entire grocery list I gave you
for 5 days.
Yeah, but I didn't buy chicken. So I didn't need to buy chicken. I already had chicken here. So one of them is you can buy chicken or shrimp, because for the fajitas that we're going to be doing, I didn't have to buy the chicken. So that would have added some money to this. But I was able to buy all of this. And for me, this is 20 meals worth of food for $75. If somebody can do the math and let me know what that is per meal, I would really appreciate that. So $75 created 20 meals for me. That's why when people talk about, oh, it's so expensive to eat healthy and fresh food, it's only expensive if you let the stuff go bad. You know, a lot of times when we go shopping, we have all these great intentions and we buy all this produce, but we don't know what we're going to do with it. So the shopping list I've given you, all of it will still be fine. If you purchased good produce, it's still going to be fine in 5 days, and you're going to cook it, which is going to help it last longer. You can freeze a lot of this stuff. The meal that we're doing today is a great meal to freeze. So I would highly recommend doing a massive portion and freezing it, because it'll freeze in 3, 4, 5, 6 months. It's still good. Okay, so really, really good stuff there. Really great ways to save you money. I know we're all looking ways right now where we can save a little bit of money. Okay, so I'm just cutting this into fourths, and I'll go ahead and take this guy. This will be what we use today to make our little meatballs.
How many ounces is that?
This is going to be about 4 ounces. Okay, so again, when you're looking at what's a good protein serving size, it's the size of your palm. Okay, so if you look at that, that's about the size of your palm. Or it's the size of a deck of cards. And if you look here, we are about the size of a deck of cards.
Mary said it's $3.75.
$3.75. There
for
we go.
a meal.
$3.75 per meal. That's about what we figure. $3.75 per meal. Okay, so I'm going to get this and put this over here. Okay. And then we're going to make our meatballs. So here's how we're going to do this. It's going to be kind of fun. I'm going to get a mixing bowl here. Okay.
Hey, how are you guys doing? How do you think we're doing for first time cooking
This is
show?
our first time cooking show. I've done cooking classes, but doing a cooking show is a little bit different.
Later on, you can let us know, because I know you're busy cooking now, what you liked about it, what we can improve.
Absolutely. So I don't need, just looking at my ratios here, it looks like I don't need all of that. And I'm going to put this in with my sauce later, so it's fine. So I'm going to use about that much. Okay, you guys can see that. All right.
So what is half?
It was about half, right? So it depends on how much you're cooking, but this is just so you can kind of see the ratio. If you go more than that, it's going to be too much other filler stuff and not enough meat. Okay, so that's kind of the ratio we're looking for. So it looks like I used per serving 1/4 of an onion. Okay, about 1/4 of it in there. And then I'm not going to use all this seasoning either. That's going to be overkill. So I have some extra seasoning here. So I'm going to use, I don't know, probably about like that. So let me see. So you can then put this in a Tupperware, or you put this in a Ziploc, and you've got seasoning for later. So by the way, if you'll take this, check this out. Get rid of this knife.
So guys, what do you think that is? I'm gonna have to put it down in a recipe.
Yeah. Good luck. Okay, so look, check this out. Check this out. Okay. So I have my zucchini, and if I take and put my zucchini into this mixture, I have a zucchini chip that tastes like sausage. Oh.
Girlfriend wants one.
Mm-hmm. Girlfriend always wants one. All right. There you are.
Thank you.
No. How is it, girlfriend?
Really good.
Good? All right, good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is mix this all together. Okay, so you can see what it looks like here. This is kind of the fun part. You just mix it all in together. Okay, so when we're done mixing it all together, we've kind of soaked up all of our onions and mushrooms and everything here. We should have something that looks like that. That's a really good ratio there. Okay, most of that. Okay, so there is our, and then let me just show you guys how easy, cooking is not difficult once you start doing it. I could take this, and this could be meatloaf now. I could put this in a small tin and put it in the oven and cook it, and it would be meatloaf. So I could also put this in, I could have put this in with our ground meat and just kind of chopped it up and browned the meat, and it would have just been a nice Italian type ground meat. Okay, so there's really, you can get creative with it. Okay, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to pull off little chunks, and I'm going to make little meatballs. Also, you could use this same thing and make a meatball soup. Okay, so I'm just doing about this size for meatballs. Okay.
Hold on.
So it's probably an inch diameter meatball.
Show the other way too. A little bit. There you go. Perfect. I'm one of those people that needs to see everything, otherwise I can't follow along.
Watch this. You guys will appreciate this. Meatball. I'm just kidding. It's right here. Okay. That was good. Come on. That was good.
That was so
good.
We're gonna start freaking out. You're eating raw meat.
People need to give some clapping hands there. That was entertainment. Thank you. Thank you.
Cooking and magic.
Cooking and magic. Now, again, this is one. Oh, that was a little puny. That meatball needs to be a little bigger. This is one meal. I just want to explain. This is one meal as far as amount. You know, this. When you start putting the veggies in here, it makes it look like a lot of food, and it is. That's why people who are on the lose it stage, and if you're on the lose it stage and you've struggled getting in enough calories, and your coach kept yelling at you.
Coaches don't
yell.
yell.
They don't really yell.
Oh,
But
quickly, Kathleen. Yes, you put the onions with the meat. This is where we cooked up the onions, and then we put them in with the meat. That was a question I answered.
And then, what I would highly encourage you guys to do, especially if you're, during this quarantine time, you got kiddos at home and everything going on like that, have them do this with you. You're going to find that they actually will enjoy it. Like doing things like this, making food together, it's part of what God innately put within us. Like preparing food together connects you as human beings, connects us as human beings, it connects us as family. And you see that as a reoccurring motif all the way through the Bible, as well as just in every culture. Every single culture in the world has traditions based around eating food together and preparing food together. And it's not just the eating of the food together, eating of the food that's important. It's the preparing of it. It's the protecting the food. It's the growing the food that makes it a little bit more special. But just think about the difference between you and your family going out to dinner, and you go to a restaurant, and everybody goes out to a restaurant, and the difference between that and Thanksgiving. People tend to eat at home during Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is a much more special event and meal than going out to eat. Now, I know that you may, be the type of person where your family, it's special to go out to eat, so that's what you do on Thanksgiving, and I get that. But there's just something special about everybody kind of bringing dishes together, sitting down, fellowshipping together, and eating together, all right? So I just wanted to kind of mention that. Okay, so we made 2, 4, 6, 8. We made 10 of these little guys, 10 little meatballs. All right, and we're going to spread them out a little bit, okay? 10 little meatballs. And then we're going to cook these for about, I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to check them because I don't want to burn them. And I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to take, but we're going to start with 20 minutes, and we're going to see what happens. So we're going to move you back here.
Yes.
Okay, and again, our oven's ready to go. I'm going to stick you in here. Set my timer. Minutes. Wash my hands, and everybody wash your hands right now. Okay, we're going to wash our hands for the salmonella poisoning. Not so much the coronavirus, but you can do it for the coronavirus as well. That's what's nice about washing hands. It's good either way. Also, make sure you get rid of your cutting board now. Okay? So I like to have this guy over my shoulder because then I can always wipe on this. I'm not always...
What temperature for the oven?
Oh, 375. 375.
Thank you for asking,
Yes, thank
Bonnie.
you for asking. Okay. So here's our space. We're going to go ahead and give it a quick wipe down because again, what you're going to find that keeping your space clean and tidy and organized as you go through this process, it's going to make you just feel better about yourself. It really is. It's the same concept of making your bed every morning. It's the same concept of cleaning up right after you get done with the process. It's a concept that some people call it resetting the room, but getting everything right back so it's nice and clean so you can start fresh. It will just help you as you're cooking. So I'm going to grab a new cutting board here. Okay. And now we we're going to work on our sauce. Now, the amount of stuff I had you buy, you would have to eat so much of this spaghetti to eat all of this stuff. So this is on purpose. I have got, we're making enough of our red sauce that it's going to be our base for our chili tomorrow. So tomorrow we're doing chili, and we're going to show you a really healthy chili recipe tomorrow. If you already bought all the stuff, you already have all the ingredients for the chili that you need. And I couldn't find broccoli. Broccoli's not needed for the chili, so I'm good with that. The chili, we're going to put some radishes, just to kind of give you a teaser for tomorrow, some radishes in the chili, and that's going to replace our beans. It's going to have a nice bean flavor and bean texture when we cook down the radishes, so it's really exciting. So, but to get started with, we're going to take a tomato.
Shamela.
Shamela?
Shamela. That's a really pretty name. Is asking, what kind of mushrooms are you using?
So I believe, what did I pick? I think I picked, I think these are baby bells, I believe. But you can do any mushroom. It's kind of your choice. I tend to go with, just the standard portobello mushroom, which is just the regular mushrooms. And when you get smaller ones, they call them sometimes baby portobellos or baby bells for short. So that's what I'm using today, is portobellos. But any mushroom. I used shiitake mushrooms the other day, and I really like those too, but they can be a little bit harder to find. But really any mushroom is good, as long as you don't go out and pick it yourself. All right, so tomatoes. So I'm going to actually use a paring knife, okay? This is a paring knife. It's a smaller knife, and it's made for more detailed work. I am going to leave the skin on my tomatoes. We could take the skin off, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it on because it adds fiber to the food. Fiber is proven to help protect your heart. There's a ton of benefits to having plenty of fiber in your diet. It helps keep you regular for all of you irregular people out there. So we're going to take this opportunity to have as much fiber in our diet. So our sauce might be a little bit chunkier, but honestly, you're not going to, with some of the other stuff we're going to be putting in it, you won't notice. So again, I'm just decoring the tomatoes. I'm getting rid of that really hard center here. Just like so, just cutting it out. They do make these nice little tomato peelers where you just kind of go in there and rip it out. I don't have one of those, so we will do it old school style here by decoring the tomatoes like so. And
Kathy Jasper's Christmas gift.
Jaspers.
I'm just saying that would be a Christmas gift, your next Christmas gift.
Oh, is Kathy Jaspers watching?
No, but I'm sure she'll watch the replay. Maybe she is, just silently.
Maybe she is. Well, Kathy Jaspers, if you are here right now, you should say hello. Kathy Jaspers is my mom. So, for those of you who don't know, she works up in our Schaumburg office and is one of our phenomenal health coaches and administrative workers up there. So we appreciate all of the work that she puts in. And she's the one who really started teaching me how to cook. She kind of...
I thank Kathy for that.
Yeah, Paulina really is grateful. Really is grateful for that. All right, so I've got all these tomatoes, and then can you hand me just the top of the blender?
Yes.
And then, by the way, this is the perfect opportunity if you have some cherry tomatoes to have a snack.
What do you need?
I love cherry tomatoes. Nature's candy. All right. So I like this Ninja blender. You can use any blender. I like the Vitamixes are the bomb diggity, which for all of you who don't know what that means, they're really awesome. But this is a Ninja. I like it because of all the blades it has. So it helps really mix things. The traditional blenders that aren't like the Vitamixes that just have the bottoms, they struggle a little bit. So you can get these. What I'll do too after each cooking show, I will post all the different things I'm using, so that way you can see them. If we sell them at our online store, you can buy them at our online store, or I'll give an Amazon link and you can get them on Amazon as well. But let me just say something right now too. If you are at a VitaLife location, if you are one of our clients, whether you're here in Illinois or from another place for one of our locations around the U.S., do me a favor. If you're able to, spend the extra $1 or $2 to buy from your local office. It's going to help them out. It is a struggle right now for all small businesses to stay in business, especially if they can't see clients. In our business, we have to see clients, otherwise it really hurts our business. So don't just shop around for a $2 savings on a scraper online, if your local VitaLife office carries it, let them have the sale, okay? And even over us, if you're attached to a local office, don't buy it from our website, buy it from them, okay? Support them. Let's support each other through this time. We're doing this whole thing this week. I'm doing this whole thing this week for free, and it's a ton of work for me, and it's taking a lot of time away from me from other things that I need to be doing, but I'm doing it as my contribution to what's going on with the coronavirus. So we are having daily cooking classes at home, and so please do me a favor and support your local businesses. I would appreciate it, and they would appreciate it. So we will be posting all the things that are available at the offices, as well as things that we don't carry, like we don't carry blenders. Surprise, surprise. We don't carry blenders, so I'll post a link to a good blender that maybe we can find it on sale for you on Amazon. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to throw all the tomatoes in here. Okay, just squish them in there. Nice thing about this blender, it just works so well. You can just kind of squish them in. All right, there we go. Squished them in. Then I'm going to take my tomato paste and my fire roasted diced tomatoes. Now, I love fire roasted diced tomatoes. It is different. I'm just telling you, this tastes different than just regular diced tomatoes. If you're a fire diced tomato user and you know the difference, I want you to hashtag fire diced tomatoes, because you know, like when you go fire roasted tomatoes, you don't go back. All right. So we want a can of these. This is going to help add to our soupiness of what we're doing. Okay. And if you haven't opened a lot of cans, you get to a point where you're almost there and it opens up for you. See that? Opens up for you and you can keep it intact. And then dump it out like so. There we go. You ready for that? And then also, they didn't have a smaller thing of tomato paste. Typically, tomato paste comes in 4 ounces. We don't need all of this. This is 12 ounces of tomato paste. But you know what? It doesn't make that big of a difference. I'm sure there's people out there that would disagree with me, especially all of you Italian chefs out there. But the tomato paste doesn't really make that big of a difference. So, as far as the consistency, but this is meant to thicken it up a little bit. And I'm going to use, just because I don't really have another use for it, I'm going to use the entire can. You can see tomato paste is pasty. All right, so that's where having these little mini spatulas comes in really handy. And because again, it doesn't just come out. So you kind of have to spatula it out here.
Where do you get the fire roasted tomatoes?
Every grocery store carries them. Just look for it. Yep, they'll say fire roasted tomatoes right on there. But I got mine at Jewel Osco. Is anybody having, based upon where you are, is anybody having issues finding food? Let me know if you're having issues finding some of these things. You know, especially if you live locally, I may be able to help you, direct you into a place that has what you're looking for. Because the Jewel here in Joliet has done a really good job. They've got plenty of stock. Plenty of stuff, so they've been doing a good job keeping things on the shelf. They even had paper towel and toilet paper the other day, which was crazy. All right, so
and what did you have?
Huh?
For the
Yeah, and I had a coupon for paper towel because they're doing Monopoly at Jewel, and so I was playing the Monopoly game, and I forgot the coupon, which sucks because I could have saved 50 cents.
It was free, I thought.
Was it free?
Anyways, I am also live for a moment on Instagram.
We're all live on Instagram. Well, hello everybody from Instagram. Welcome to our cooking class. We are going to be cooking live in our private Facebook group that you can join for free. And it is called the 20-Day Weight Loss Challenge. And we are going to be giving away $325 in Amazon gift cards. It's going to be an exciting time.
We are live.
Yep.
You can find the link in the bio. Take you straight to the group.
Link is in the bio. Link is in the bio. There we go. All right. Now that we got all of this stuff in there, because they didn't have tomato on the vine, which again, tomato on the vine is a game changer with it just makes things taste better. Okay. So because we didn't have that, they did have these little cherry tomato on the vines. which gives you the same flavor. They're just packed a little bit fuller with sugar. So because I didn't have the tomato on the vine, I just had the Roma tomatoes, I'm going to go ahead and add, I don't know, maybe like 10 of these little guys in there. And you don't need to, just decore them or anything. You just throw the whole thing in. But man, these things are just so good. So good. Love them. All right. Well, how's it going, everybody out there? Are we cooking along? Looks like our meatballs have about 8 minutes left. Okay. All right, so here we go. We've got all this. Now we're going to season this, okay? So that'll be another fun project here. For seasoning, we're going to be using our Italian seasoning again. Okay, so we got our Italian seasoning. We're going to be using our garlic seasoning. We're going to be using our onion powder. We're going to be putting a little bit of paprika in here, and then the secret ingredient that we're going to add in just a minute, because I'm going to get this blended a little bit, and that's going to free up some space. And the secret ingredient is your can of salsa. Now, I already prepared my salsa. I canned this ahead of time, but you could have bought it. It's on the purchase list. You're looking for no sugar added. There's going to be sugar in the ingredient list, but you're looking in the in the nutrition label, but no sugar should be in the ingredient list. Okay. So this is my own canned salsa. And I'm going to add that, but I'm going to hit this with the blender just so I can get some more space in here real quick.
Yeah. Let me back up.
You going to back up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can see our setup, because you'll get to see the lights probably if I'm backing up.
Mm-hmm. All right, it's going to get loud for a second here. Well, if you guys couldn't hear me while that was going on, I just told the world's funniest joke, and you missed out. Just wanted to let you know.
What a dork.
All right, so now I've got enough room, I'm going to add my salsa. So you can see about the size of this jar. It's really the kind of the traditional salsa jar size, okay? So the salsa, when I add it in there, it just, because we're going with cilantro, okay? The cilantro side of this is the salsa side. So I'm going to put some cilantro in as well as we season this. Now, I don't know exactly how much. I'm not going to put all of this cilantro in. So let me see if I can measure this out a little bit. May need something like bigger. Maybe 1/4 of a cup of fresh cilantro. Let me see what this looks like. That looks about right. I'm going to put 1/4 of a cup of the fresh cilantro.
Wait, I have to write it down.
Okay, that looks good. Okay, so it's 1/4 of a cup of the fresh cilantro. So what makes this spaghetti unique, besides the fact that we're not using spaghetti noodles, we're using the zucchini, what makes this unique is the Mexican flair that we're adding to the Italian meatballs into a traditional Italian dish. It's going to be great. Okay. All right, so we added that in there. Now we're going to mix together some Italian seasonings, and we're going to be using pretty hefty amount there. Let me measure that out for you. But we used a pretty hefty amount. So that looks like, that is going to be a tablespoon of Italian seasoning.
Bonnie's asking, please repeat what you added to the tomatoes.
What I added to the tomatoes.
Cilantro.
The cilantro?
1/4 of a cup. Right?
Yeah, 1/4 of a cup of cilantro, of fresh cilantro, not dried. Do not add 1/4 of a cup of dried. You're going to die. It's going to ruin it. Fresh, that's a great point. Fresh herbs are much different than dried herbs. Fresh herbs, you need a lot more of the fresh herbs. When you dry herbs, they become more concentrated and you need a lot less of them. Okay, so this is fresh cilantro, 1/4 of a cup of fresh cilantro. Now mixing together, because I want to taste I want to see what it tastes like. But this is a tablespoon, of Italian seasonings. And then I'm going to put, this is going to give it the Mexican flair, I'm going to put some paprika in it. But I'm only going to put a little bit. I'm going to put a 1/4 of a teaspoon of paprika. Okay? Did you get that, Paulina?
No.
1/4 of a teaspoon of paprika.
1/4?
1/4. Mm-hmm. We're going to put a 1/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder.
How much?
A 1/4. And we're going to put a 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder.
How much salsa? Christine missed it.
Okay, it's like a 8 to 12 ounce jar, kind of like, whatever you buy. You don't want to use the huge salsas, but like a normal, salsas kind of have a standard size, just like a standard size salsa. So, probably somewhere between like 8 and 12 ounces, I would say. Then I'm going to add, again, this is fresh pepper, so I can't really measure it, but I'm going to put a good amount of the fresh pepper in.
Pinch of pepper?
Probably about a pinch. It's going to be a little bit more than a pinch, probably. And then I'm going to put in a teaspoon of salt. Now, these all might change because we're going to blend it, try it, and then we may adjust those seasonings. But the nice thing is I'm going on the low end, so we can always add in more. So I'm doing a teaspoon of our pink salt. Okay, so we got a nice mixture there. Again, I'm going to mix it together and see what it tastes like. What it should remind me of right now is very much Italian flavoring, with the only thing that's going to make this a little bit different, this part of it, a little bit different, is the paprika that we put in there. So we should get like a mostly Italian flavoring with just a touch of that smoky paprika. Okay, so I'm going to just try a little bit. I think it's going to be just fine. It's a little salty as is, but I think when we mix it together with everything else, I think that'll take the salt down. So it's kind of hard to have too much pink salt when you mix it in. So I'm going to stick with that, but just by itself, I would say it's a little salty. Okay.
My husband loves the idea of adding a Mexican flair to my Italian recipes.
That's
from Jane.
From Jane. Ah, of course, because Chico, Jane's husband, happens to be Mexican, so that makes sense. Okay, we're also going to now add the little bit of leftover. I like to add, so this is fresh garlic, onion, and some mushrooms, and we're going to add this in to blend it all together. Okay. And the things like, for instance, if you don't like mushrooms, the mushrooms are optional. We're just, and if you don't like onions, the onions are optional. Like you can do the meatballs without any of the extra stuff. If you can't find the extra stuff, you can do it with that. If you're, you can put breadcrumbs in it, which isn't going to be as healthy. If you want a healthier option, doing like almond flour, do something like almond flour and make it together with that. There's different ways you can do that if you want. Okay, but this is a super healthy way to do this. So now I'm going to blend this again, so it's going to get loud in here again. And then I'm going to taste it and see if we need to adjust any of our seasonings. And our meatballs beeped, so we're going to check on those while we're blending this.
It's going to get... Bonnie asked if you put the salsa in already.
Yes, I did. I did already put the salsa in, and you guys missed another fantastic joke during the blending.
Mary said a great joke.
Mary didn't miss the joke. She got the joke. Good job. Yeah. All right, I'm going to blend this a little bit more. I have some stuff sticking to the side.
So how do you know if it's not blended all the way?
I could see it on the top. I could see that it wasn't blended all the way on the top. Some of the paste was still there, the tomato paste. Okay, let's try this. Now, and this is, when I make this, I fill the whole blender. So if you're doing this with me and following along, this is a lot of sauce. Okay, so this is going to be plenty for what we're doing tonight and plenty for chili tomorrow, okay? Even like a family of 4. This is a lot of sauce. Okay. There we go. Okay. Can I get a spoon?
Right.
Okay. So we're going to try our sauce now. Oh. It's good. Oh, Paulina wants some sauce. So good. Now, what you're going to find right now with your sauce is it's going to taste a little bit more tomatoey. And you're actually going to be able to taste right now the individual components. When we cook it, that's where all the flavors meld together better. The other side of that is the longer you cook it, the more flavorful it becomes. So we're not going to spend a lot of time doing it today. We're just going to heat it up and eat it. But like sometimes when I make my own sauce like this, I'll cook it for like 6 hours on a really low heat. I will stir it occasionally so it doesn't burn on the bottom, and that makes it even better. Like it's really good right now. So if you know if your sauce is really good but it has a little bit of a tomatoey taste, like an extra tomatoey taste, you know that it's going to be really, really good. So let's have Paulina try it here. How is it?
That's really good.
Really good. All right, so we're going to now add this.
Christine is saying that's funny that she hears the beeping and try to shut it off on her end.
The beeping was here, not there. All right, so I'm going to take out this centerpiece. And where's my spatula? Oh, there we go. All right. Okay. Add this to my big pot. And make sure I get all of it out. Okay, we're going to get the pan hot. So I like to get the pan hot so we can start cooking faster. I turn it on high just for a little bit, just so I can get it warmed up, and then turn it back down. All right, hey, if you're cooking this with me right now and you are staying right up with me and your meatballs are done, you just pulled them out. Give me a, what do we want? What should we have them give me? Give me a hashtag.
Meatballs?
Meatballs. There we go. Give me a hashtag meatballs right now if you are at that point with me. So let's take a look.
Hey, Ron Waxler is watching with us.
Hey, Ron. Great to have you here, my friend. Welcome to my kitchen.
Yes, Bunny. The sauce is already in... the salsa is already in the sauce.
Salsa is in the sauce already.
Salsa.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to mix this together.
Christine is cooking with us.
All right,
she
Christina.
meatballs.
And I would say our sauce, it is a little thick. That's because we have the bigger tomato paste, the bigger thing of tomato paste. But still, it's going to be really tasty. But it is a little thick. All right, so we're going to mix that together. I'm going to bring it up to a rolling, so where it kind of bubbles and boils just a little bit, and then I'm going to turn the heat down. Right, and while that's happening, let's take a look at our meatballs, shall we? So here is our meatballs, okay? I believe they're done, but what I'm going to do to make sure, I'm going to take the biggest meatball and I'm going to cut into it to ensure that it's done. And look at that, we are good to go. All right, you can see that's what you're looking for, and that's actually perfect. That was like the perfect time. Now I want to show you this right now, because right now our pan, we've got, you see the slow boil, so we're going to turn that down, and then we're going to stir that.
I will get in there.
Okay, we're going to turn that down and stir it. So we were having the little sauce popping around a little bit, so I just turned it down, stirring it. You can see the steam coming off it, so we want to keep it moving a little bit so we don't burn. Okay, and it's basically what I'm doing with this is I'm kind of scraping along the bottom to make sure that we don't have sauce burning along the bottom of our pan, because there's nothing worse than ruining your sauce by burning it on the bottom of the pan.
We had somebody who said, looking good, you should bottle that. Do you know who might have said that?
Probably Joe Gambino. Okay, so let's try this. Now here's the fun part about cooking. We're going to try some sauce with our meatball. Right? Try some sauce with our meatball. So now we have both. We have that Mexican flair with our Italian traditional meatball. There's a party in my mouth. I don't know about you. Oh man, it's so good, because when you first take a bite, you get the complexity of the sauce. That's the first thing you taste. So you have that Mexican complexity, but the sauce quickly dissipates in your mouth, and then you're just left with the meatball, and you have that really Italian sausage meatball taste. It's really good. Paulina, come on over here and try this.
Sure.
Wow, this is her favorite part.
This is my favorite part, just eating.
She loves the eating part.
I do.
Here you are.
I'll take it from you. Mmm.
This is exactly how I described it, isn't it? You get that Mexican burst in the beginning, and then afterwards, now you really get the sausage taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really get the sausage taste, but I love the way you season it to make it taste
Yeah,
like
we can't
sausage.
have more. We have to save the rest. All right, good. So little trick here. I'm going to go ahead and the oven is off. Okay, so you want to make sure your oven is off, but I'm going to stick this back in the oven. It's going to keep it warm. Okay, so we're not cooking anymore. Our oven is off. We're just going to keep it warm in the oven, okay?
Ed is asking, do you carry out?
No, not yet. All right. So the last piece of the puzzle, while our sauce is still going, we're going to stir it occasionally. Okay. We're going to go ahead and do our noodles. The noodles are really easy, and that's the last thing you'll want to do. So we have our zucchini here, and it's it's really important to keep in mind with the zucchini that it cooks down so much that you may think you have a lot, but you really don't. So I'm going to get a medium-sized frying pan, and that's going to fit all of these zucchini. And then we have something called a noodler. This is our noodler. I want to say they're like $8 or something like that. Also available on our website. But this is what's going to turn our zucchini into noodles. So I'm going to start by cutting the ends off the zucchini.
It's totally worth that investment.
Totally worth the investment. We actually have a video. Actually, I'll post the video after this of all the different things it can do. The noodler doesn't just noodle. It slices, it minces, it peels. It'll peel even like cantaloupe, watermelon. It's like hardcore. I peeled squash with it the other day. So it's a very hardcore peeler, not just for noodling. So it has lots of different things, lots of different options on it. It peels lemons and things. It has a little cutter here to peel lemons and things. It has a slicer for slicing and for peeling. This is the mincing part of it. You can dig out blemishes and stuff on fruit with this, or potatoes. And then this is what you use to noodle. So we call it the noodler. It's available in 6 nice colors too. I went with the orange. All right. So I'm just going to noodle. I'm going to leave the skin on because, again, added fiber. I'm also listening for my sauce, because if I hear it starting to make noise, then I know that it's bubbling and I need to stir it again so we don't burn. So you can see how easy this is. This is making noodles. Okay, so let me show you here. This is what we're making, zucchini noodles. You see how easy it is to do that? Okay, and then turn it, and basically we do squares, or we make a square by the end. Okay, and then when we get really close to the bottom, I like to set it on something to finish it off because it's easy to cut yourself. And then when you can't noodle anymore, just set that aside. We're still going to use it all, but just set that aside because then we're going to just cut up the rest of it and put it in. So, or you can eat it.
Bonnie's using Peter Ruby's zoodler.
Oh, very
Not
nice.
zoodler, zoodles.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a great point. So if you don't want to go through this process, Peter Ruby's has pre-noodled noodles. They do this for you. So if you want to save yourself a step, Peter Ruby's, and they're in Plainfield, terrific prices on everything. Highly recommend them. Great produce there. And owners there are really great people. The John, the main owner, he had cancer, and he beat cancer by changing his diet. And we are hoping that when we can start meeting as a group of people again, he's going to come and do a cancer talk at VitaLife, and how you can beat your cancer through your lifestyle and through your diet. So that's something exciting that we will be letting everyone know about when that is able to happen.
And then Kimberly's asking, if we don't have that tool, can we just slice our zucchini?
You can slice your zucchini, absolutely. If you don't have this tool, when we look at like how things taste, a lot of times it's the texture more than it's actually the taste. Because if you think about it, pasta doesn't really have a taste. It's just pasta. It's the stuff we put on it that makes it flavorful. So when we're looking at doing something like this, it does help trick your brain a little bit to think you're eating pasta, to do that, but you don't have to do this. You know, it's still going to work if you slice it. And there's other tools that do this. You know, there's Jillian's. There's there's things called the jetties. Okay, so there's different things that do this. This is just our version. I like this because it's super easy, it's multifunctional, it's really inexpensive. So it's just an overall win-win-win for everybody. Alright, let me cut up the rest of these.
Questions? No.
We lost our light.
Oh, we lost our light?
I think it just died.
Yeah, well.
Oh, our lights died. How's everybody doing with the everything being shut down? You guys, everybody managing okay? Overcoming the challenges? I've heard from a few people that it's a big challenge with snacking and struggling with not eating healthy because you're around the house a little bit more, and there's unhealthy food, so the temptation to snack on the unhealthy snacks is there. So. And then, by the way, too, if you're watching right now and you are currently on the Lose It stage of the VitaLife program, give me a hashtag Lose It, because we're going to be, you know, if you cook with me, you're going to have 20 amazing meals plus leftovers. So, you know, enjoy this. But let me see who's been struggling, or how have people been handling the coronavirus situation, and then who is with me that's on their Lose It stage right now. I would love to know. I'd love to know that. And Paulina will let me know what you guys are saying here.
Mary is saying, still going strong, 38 of Lose It.
How, 30?
38. Day 38 of Lose It.
Day 38, Mary, right?
Yeah, Mary.
Mary, day 38 of Lose It. Good job, Mary. You're almost at lock-in. That's exciting. And Mary, how much weight have you lost? Curious. See how your program's going.
Jane's on Lose It. Bonnie's on Lose It.
Jane's on Lose It. Some. Bonnie. I knew Jane was on Lose It. Bonnie's on Lose It. How much weight are we down, Bonnie? I'd love to know how you're doing and how far are you on Lose It. I know, Jane, you're pretty early on here on your Lose It stage.
Jane says, I miss people.
Yeah, I do too. But I have my special person here, so it's not as bad. Somebody to eat my cooking. Who's that?
Yeah, but what else would you be doing with it, you know?
Well, that's true.
20 days. Who do you think came up with this challenge?
Yeah, you know, somebody was like, let's do a 20-day cooking gourmet food challenge.
You're welcome, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have anything better to do with your time. Why don't you cook for everybody?
It's great. People appreciate it.
So wonderful.
Oh, I think I missed a question. Somebody asked, what would you suggest for noodles since there were no zucchinis available?
Okay,
yes,
great.
I want to eat all the time. Hot lemon water has become my friend.
Great. Okay.
She's maintaining. That is
okay.
Holly.
Holly. Okay, great. With both of those questions?
Well, just one question.
Okay. Who asked the question about if you don't have zucchini?
That's Holly.
Holly. Okay. Yeah. So Holly, if you don't have zucchini, and for anybody else that doesn't have zucchini, cucumbers are they going to be the next thing I would recommend. You do the same thing with the cucumbers. So cucumbers, and then the other thing, if you're not on the Lose It stage, if you're just maintaining, spaghetti squash is excellent. And you prepare spaghetti squash, cook it a little bit differently than what we're doing. But spaghetti squash is fantastic. I actually have a video on how to cook spaghetti squash that's on YouTube, and I can share that with you if you'd like. The spaghetti squash, I saw spaghetti squash. The nice thing about something like spaghetti squash, you can keep a spaghetti squash if you don't break into it for months. So yeah, that is a great food to have sitting there, because I mean, I just cooked up a squash the other day that I think I had sitting on my counter for 2.5 months, and it was great still. So the nice thing about things like squash, they last a long time. But I would go with try with cucumbers. The other thing you can do is cabbage. So if you cabbage can taste also like noodles. So if you can do this with cabbage, and you just slice it really thin. So you want to slice it so it's as thin as possible, but you can also use cabbage as a replacement. And by the way, Brussels sprouts are basically like baby cabbages. So you could use Brussels sprouts if you wanted to as a pasta replacement. It's just going to be a different texture. But again, the key is going to be slicing it as close to a noodle as possible. If you're not on Lose It, quinoa is my favorite grain to go with. So you can do quinoa pasta, like they have a quinoa pasta. That would also be a good option for you. Lots of good beneficial parts of quinoa.
All right. And then there's Bonnie is halfway done and she lost 18.6 pounds. Congratulations.
All right. Great. Bonnie, halfway and 18 pounds. So happy for you. Fantastic. Good job, Bonnie. Thank you for sharing.
Mary is 15 pounds.
Great job,
Do not need
Mary.
to lose any more. And she's looking forward to her first lock-in stage.
So you hit your goal, Mary. Good, congratulations. That feels awesome. Oh, I love that. My goal, by the way, everybody, I weigh like 142 pounds right now. I would like to get down to 135. So that is my goal on this program. And by the way, if you're not on Lose It, you can add oil to this. I would recommend cooking with coconut oil. It's a more stable oil, so this is just what I'm doing with this. So I don't want to waste it. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there. I know that looks like a lot right now, but it's going to cook down, and it's going to be not very much once we start cooking it.
Anna Lissa Green, round 6.
Round 6.
Wait, round 6, day 3 down, 8.6 pounds, and a total of 107 pounds lost.
That's so awesome.
In
Great
the last
job.
11 months.
Yeah.
Great job.
So proud of you. Doing such a great job. Yeah.
I know, I see your photos and so support all the time within clothes. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's very, very good. I'm going to put a splash of the Braggs in here. Okay. Okay, again, this tastes like soy sauce. It's like a soy sauce. I'm going to put a little bit of pink salt. Okay. So this is just in directions. This would just be salt and pepper to taste. But I'm just going to I'm trying to, what I call, marry the flavors here. So this, we want these to taste as much like something Italian as possible. So salt, pepper, the Braggs, and then a little bit of the Italian seasoning. And again, it's just a taste. So it's just a sprinkle. And then just because I love nutritional yeast, I'm going to add a sprinkle of the nutritional yeast, which again is really good for you. It has all the different B vitamins that your body needs. So it's really, really good for you. Good thing to have. Same thing, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my heat. I'm going to stir my sauce. And I'm going to try my sauce again. I'm going to see if the flavors are even better. I know it's hard to believe the flavors might get better, but they might. So let's try the sauce again. Oh yeah, flavors are getting better. What I discovered though is my burner's not hot enough. That sauce should be like molten lava hot. So I'm going to go ahead and turn up the burner on my sauce. You can already hear this is starting to cook, so I'm going to turn that burner down. And I'm going to use some tongs here to mix this in. Now, one of the things that's important to know when you're doing either cucumber or zucchini, they're extremely watery. And you're going to end up with a ton of water on your plate. You're going to end up with a ton of water on your plate, even if you do what I recommend here, which is strain it out after it's cooked. You're still going to have a lot of water. So I highly recommend that you use a strainer and that you strain out the excess water. Okay, so I'm going to get these mixed here, making a mess. There we go. I'm making a big mess.
That's okay.
It's okay, I've got a great person to help me clean it up.
I do help you clean it up.
She does. Okay, so I'm just kind of turning the noodles around here, letting these cook down, making sure I don't burn anything. You can see how much lower we're already getting with it. Okay. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to add, just to give the sauce a little bit of a little bit more interesting things going on. I'm going to caramelize some mushrooms here, and I'm going to do them full size. And this is going to go in my sauce to add a little bit of chunkiness. Put a little bit of Braggs in there. But this is going to go in my sauce, so I just want to cook this down.
Yes, and Lisa, we will put the recipe later on, hopefully today.
Yes. Make sure, so if you're cooking with me, when you're done cooking and you plate your food, which we're going to plate the food, which is always fun, you're going to want to take a nice, like a good picture of that, because that's going to be part of the assignments, is taking a picture of your food and posting that on your Facebook page. We'll give you all those details when we're all finished, but just make sure that you take a good picture of it. Okay, this is happening over here. I'm going to turn this down. Ooh, mushroom suicide. Got it. Saved it.
Nice.
Nice.
Oops, trying to hit the camera.
You know, by the time we're done, we are going to be experts at cooking shows.
Yes.
Yeah, like by the time we're done, this whole thing's going to be converted into a studio. We're going to have walls moved, everything. Just watch.
Oh, this is day one.
This is day one. We got
19 more days.
19 more days. It's going to be exhausting.
Not for my belly.
Not for your belly.
Okay.
Okay, so we are
why don't
almost
you
done.
because I went live in a support group.
Okay, support group. Support group. Make sure you join this other group. This is the VitaLife Weight Loss Challenge Group. 20-day challenge group. You're going to be losing weight with me. We're going to be cooking together every night. We do a motivational moment in the morning. So by the way, everybody, make sure you tune in. And you know, it's really meant to wake up and listen to it. If you don't listen to it live, listen to it when you get up. It's just meant to encourage you during some of the struggles that we're going through as a nation and really as a world. some of the struggles and how do we keep level heads about us as we're going through this. How do we stay encouraged? It's really what the motivational moment is for. And then we're going to be doing the Daily Dose of Davis is at noon every day, or right around noon every day. And it's going to be live questions and answers. So that is in the challenge group, the weight loss challenge group. So make sure you join that group. We do live question and answer. If you ask me questions, you can Facebook message me questions. You can fill out contact submission forms on our website if you have questions. And I'd be happy to answer them. You can post them in the room and tag me, and I'll answer those questions. So if you're not able to be live and you have questions, then I will be answering those questions during that Q&A time. So even if you don't ask a live question, I'll be sure to address that question during that Q&A time.
And to make it easier, if you can post your questions under the Q&A lives, all right? Or what should we do?
Actually, I think I was looking at Facebook. I think there's a topic setter. So we may be able to like do something with that.
So I don't want people's questions to get lost. So I'll look that up, and maybe I can make a post, like Q&A post, pin it to the announcements, and then you can ask a question under that post.
Yeah. Now
I have a couple questions here for you right now.
Okay.
Christine says, well, she just says, I used yellow squash. They didn't have zucchini. Hope that works.
That'll work. Yes. Good. Yellow squash would work very well as well. Very good. Thank you for that.
And Jane is asking, how long do you cook the noodles?
That's a great question. So we are getting close. You see when we had a huge pile and now we're like this, okay? And we're going to try them here because it's going to be based upon how they taste. We've got some boiling going on, which is
support group.
Still live?
Hopefully.
Everybody okay? Speak to me. Speak to me.
I dropped the phone.
Is everybody alive? Did that hurt? Everybody okay?
I hope everybody's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave support group so I could use both my hands on this group. And you guys can just meet us in there if you want to keep on watching live. Let's finish.
All right, so this is looking pretty close to being done here. So I'm going to try. Try one of the noodles. I want it to taste like a hard noodle because it's going to continue to cook a little bit after I take it out. And what's dangerous, I use that term very loosely, is overcooking it because it turns to mush. It's pretty much perfect right now. So Paulina, why don't you give it a shot here?
Stacy's saying just a few bruises.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So that's perfect.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect.
Strainer. Okay. Pulling it off the heat. Okay. We're going to strain out the noodles here. This out of the way. Alright, here we go. You can see all that water we're getting rid of.
Good job.
Okay. Then the other thing you can do here, all right, is you can also take this and kind of press. See, I'm getting a little bit more water out. It's great, but it just makes things a little soupy. Okay. So you can see this is what 6 small zucchinis made as far as noodles there, pasta noodles. Can you do me a favor, Paulina? No, I'll go grab it real quick. Paulina's going to entertain you, and I will be right back.
I don't have a joke for you. Let's see. But I can show you my face. I did drop the phone just because I have this crazy setup here, this and extra other phones. But I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am and that you're cooking along. I am the master producer in the background, so I would love feedback. Like, is this good? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? We have 19 more days, so we can improve as we go along. Davis is back.
I'm back. Okay. Again here, let me clean up some of the stuff. So now we are ready to plate and eat.
Plate and eat.
And honestly, this normally does not take this long to do, but when we're doing it live together, it does tend to take a little bit longer. Okay, white plates work best for plating, so we are going to be using our white plates. And then you can plate however you want, of course, but honestly, take the time to make it look pretty. You're going to appreciate that, and it's going to make it honestly, if you just eat it like now, it's going to be great. But if you'll plate it, it's going to look better, and honestly, it's going to make you feel more accomplished. When we look at, like, you know, principles of just living life, it's really important to understand how you do something is how you do everything. So if you kind of half-ass things, you're going to half-ass everything. If you're the type of person that doesn't make things look nice, you're not going to make things look nice. So really take this time to make it look nice. And I call this putting a bow on the project. So we want to put a bow on this project. So we want to plate it. We want to make it look great. And it's going to make us feel better about ourselves by doing this. So we're going to be plating. And Paulina will tell you, I always plate. Always make the food look great.
He does.
Because it's part of the experience that we're going through. All right.
And for those of you who are playing to win our $200 Amazon gift card, you can read the rules about that. Plating, how it looks, is going to be a tiebreaker. In case, you know, when there's like a bunch of you who played, we are going to do a tiebreaker with the best presentation. And the fun thing is the group gets to vote.
The group is the voters. You guys are going to vote for yourselves, so that's how that works.
Not for yourselves, for...
No. Well, you could vote for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you better.
I would vote for myself.
Right.
There's $200 on the line here. I'm going to vote for some other... Okay, so I have... This is called a food ring, by the way. And so what I'm going to do is set the food ring down in the middle of my plate and put my noodles in the food ring. Okay. This is like a baking ring. Several different ways and things that this is called, but I'll also post an Amazon link to this. This is something we don't carry because this is for the really serious person. And then to make this work better, you push it down, and then that flattens it out on the top. Okay, so we're going to do that. And then you'll need paper towel. Do you have paper towel?
I don't think we have paper towels.
It's not going to work. Okay, because then we're going to get rid of the excess moisture. Again, make it look great. Okay. Got our mushrooms here. Okay.
Is that the meatball?
Those are the meatballs. We put the meatballs around. We're going to take some mushrooms here. And I'm going to put a few mushrooms out here. So again, this is where I think it's just fun. I'm not a very creative individual, but this is where I like to express my creativity. Maybe with stuff like this, making things look really, really nice. Okay. And then, because I don't want to ruin the presentation, what I would do, let's see, what do I have here?
What do you have there?
I need my step stool because I'm short.
Oops.
Oops.
Not me this time.
No, that was totally me. I will use... That's not what I want, but I'll use this. This will work. Alright, so we're going to also clean this up. We don't
Is it Jinju to Teresa?
Jinju.
Jinju says, you don't need a fancy ring, you can use a bowl and flip it upside down.
That would also work. I love the creativity. Nice, and then...
Ooh. Gabby's watching. She just came on.
Hey, Gabby. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. We are finishing up. Okay, so I put my sauce in a nice cup. I would plate that in here.
Nina says, I wish we knew what we were using from the ingredients early and could prep. Can't keep up.
Well, we'll post what you'll need for tomorrow in part of the things there.
Good. Yep. So we're gonna and Mo Taco joined.
Mo, what's up, man?
So we will make sure that tomorrow, you guys, this challenge, I will let you know. We were thinking about doing something like this like a month ago. And then we just put it together the last couple of days. So we're just having fun with you.
This is nutritional yeast. This is like Parmesan cheese.
Oh.
And then, wait. We're not done yet.
See, we're also reusing cocktail glasses as nutritional holders. And sauce holders.
I'm going to do this for garnishing here. And
alright, we are almost done here.
Done.
My belly is asking for food.
And we have now completed our first meal. And doesn't this look amazing? Who needs a restaurant when you can do stuff like this? So do me a favor, make sure you take a photo. We'll tell you, because we're going to eat here. But we'll tell you what to do with your photo, so make sure you plate it and take a nice photo. Use your creativity, have fun with it, and let us know how it tastes, and we'll give you more instructions. Take a look at that again.
Nice. Want to spin it? You know you want to spin it. Perfect. So it's meatballs, zucchini, mushrooms, the sauce. We're going to pour the sauce?
Yep, so then I would, if I was plating this, then I would serve it like this. Place it down in front of somebody and say, and take the garnish out. Remove this cup. Because you want to be able to see all the different pieces that are in there, right? And then you pour the sauce on. Pour the sauce on. And then they can add the nutritional yeast how they want. But I would probably put about that much on there. And finish it off with the tomato.
Beautiful. Now, doesn't that look amazing? All right, guys, give me some love and
some likes and some loves and some smiley faces and some happy faces and everything, all those other faces. And we are going to eat this, and later on this evening we'll give some more instructions for what's going to happen. But thank you, guys. We're going to put all the ingredients and the instructions on how we made it. We'll put that on this post as well, so that way those of you who couldn't cook with us live can still get the benefits of an amazing meal. Thank you guys all for joining us, and remember, today is the perfect day to live a vital life.